Well, Ian, thank you very much for joining us today and at Crawley Library here, and thank you very much for speaking to us here at Crawley Happy Times. Just got a few questions first of all regarding today. Can you just remind us, Ian, when was the last time that the UK had extreme sub-zero temperatures?
Well, I mean, the last time that the Thames froze was 1814, but we've had cold weather really in fairly recent times, and probably one of the most severe spells that we had was December 2010, and in Sussex here there was a lot of snow, and if you remember, Gatwick Airport was shut for several days. So but last year, one of my weather stations, which I have in Surrey in the Chipstead Valley, I recorded minus 18.3, which was Britain's lowest temperature anywhere in the UK last year. And at my weather station this year in the Chipstead Valley, Surrey, a temperature of minus 15 is Britain's lowest temperature this winter. So we've had cold even fairly recently.
Wow. What did people do to make the most of the cold weather back in the old days, Ian?
Well, they did wrap up well, and they attended the frost fairs, and they tried to make the best of it. And in some ways they could, because in those days people didn't travel a long way to work. So once they dug themselves out, they worked locally, and so therefore they didn't have to use cars and the lorries and so on, which causes great mayhem now, where the road's getting chocked, with snow drifts and so on. Even small amounts of snow can cause traffic jams on the motorway, which we've seen in Sussex this March a few weeks ago.
Okay. Who was it who actually created the frost fairs?
Well, the frost fairs really was created by the watermen and the traders in London. Well, firstly the watermen and the ferrymen, who were people who worked on the rivers, and they acted as a kind of marshals encouraged the fairs. And then there was not only that, but then you had the myriads of street traders that would come in onto the frozen river, because it was a great spectacle. There were people would come and gaze in awe at the river, the mighty Thames actually encased in ice, and the street traders would be there because there were lots of people, and people were used to buying things on what we call on the hoof, from traders in London. They would buy their food, their fuel, timber, and coal and things like that from and there were their drink and beer, wine and so on. And so fair street traders were encouraged by the watermen, and you had this great carnival on the ice, these great frost fairs, which were really like the markets that we have today, Petticoat Lane or at Covent Garden. But they would come out onto the frozen Thames, and it would also be, it would be quite a backdrop to create a market, and it would prove very popular, particularly as London became larger through the ages. As London expanded in population, the frost fairs became more popular.
Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you very much for your time today, and thanks for speaking to us. Thank you.